Welcome to another episode of the Supplement Engineer Podcast. My name is Robert Chinetsky. Today we've got something a little bit different in store for the podcast for you listeners out there. Typically, Tuesday episodes are where I interview a guest. This week I've been doing some live Q&As every Friday with Steve Shaw over on the Massive Iron YouTube channel. If any of you have been following me for any amount of time, you know that Steve has been a tremendous friend, mentor, confidant, colleague over the past few years since I've joined the supplement industry. So him and I have teamed up to start doing some weekly live Q&As on his YouTube channel. This is one from a week and a half ago. I hope you enjoy it. Some topics we cover include collagen, magnesium forms of supplements, affordable supplement stacks, and just some general thoughts on muscle building and diet and nutrition advice. So I hope you guys enjoy and leave a comment as always. Thank you.
And I think we're live. Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. My wife is making coffee, so if you hear some gurgling sounds, I assure you it is not my stomach yet. We got no viewers right now, so hopefully YouTube will announce this to the world. Today I'm joined with Robert Chinetsky. Robert is the supplement engineer, and I'm going to try to have Robert on as often as possible. For you guys that are tuned in, let me know where you're from, what you guys are doing. If you have a little bit of lockdown fatigue and how things are going. Robert, how are things going down in Tejas?
So far, so good. I mean, it's been pretty much standard operating procedure as it has been for the past month and a half. The Texas governor has started to open things up. So restaurants beginning last weekend could be up to 25% capacity. Today, salons, public pools, and what else? Barbershops can open up, and a couple of other non-essential retailers. And then by the 18th, they're supposed to allow gyms to open. But the little tyrant that deems himself grand overlord as mayor of Austin is trying to circumvent all the governor's orders at every stop possible.
Well, for those of you guys just tuning in, let me know where you're from, how you're doing, if your gym's opening, if you're frustrated. And just a reminder, we'll stay on as long as you have questions. So please post any questions you have on diet, training, nutrition, supplementation. Robert is a supplement expert. If there is any in the industry, it is absolutely Robert. And if you have any off-topic questions or just want to vent, feel free to do so. Here in Ohio, we do not have gyms open yet. Mm-hmm. I see the Power Station, which is a big gym locally where we've had events. When I was with Tiger Fitness, they're fighting to get Ohio to open gyms, but there's really no ETA. Everything's pretty much going to be open full speed by May 15th, including restaurants. But gyms, they're like the redheaded stepchild. No offense to the redheaded stepchildren out there. So,
what I don't understand, and I hope we don't spend the whole time talking about this, because I'm sure everybody's got fatigue from it eventually, as it is. But the fear-mongering public out there that don't want to go outside, that want to, stay in bubble wrap and be a bubble boy or girl for their entire lives, that's fine. But the people that are young, healthy, fit, active, not afraid to go outside, let them do that. Don't put the restrictions on them. You have the choice to stay home if you so choose, but don't force people to stay home. It doesn't make sense. Plus, and as I was telling you and Alan of Every Damn Day Fitness yesterday, that we've got data now showing vitamin D levels are very strongly linked with adverse affection rates from corona. So, more people are having significantly worse effects if you are deficient in vitamin D. So we should be encouraging people to get outside. Exercise increases levels of strong antioxidants in the body, like superoxide dismutase, which again improves the body's resiliency and its antiviral effects. So get people outside, get them exercising. And there's that recent study that I showed you yesterday that sunlight kills the virus.
Right.
So why are we forcing people to stay in clusters when being outside, enjoying fresh air and sunlight points to all signs being good?
Yeah, it's really. I'll just say one thing. It bothers me that we have playgrounds roped off because children have no chance of getting ill, and the argument is that they're going to pass it along to grandma. Well, they shouldn't be seeing grandma anyway if she's immunocompromised. So
correct.
That's pretty much something everybody has to deal with moving forward. Post up the questions, guys. We will get to every question. If we miss your question, it is the system. It is not us ignoring you. So if I miss your question, send me a DM on Instagram at Ben the Barman, or email me, benthebarman@gmail.com. I'll answer your question. If you need coaching, I have 5 coaching slots. Hit me up on Instagram or email, and we can talk about the details. I don't do any bullshit cookie cutter stuff. Also, Robert is a supplement expert. If you need advice or help with your supplement plan and want to stop wasting fucking money, over on my website, superlivingtoday.com, Robert provides a supplement analysis service. So he will look at what you're taking, tell you what to take, tell you what to not to take, and save you some money. So please check that out. Now, Stian from Norway says, are kindergartens open in the U.S.? No, nothing is open in the U.S. No schools. I don't believe any daycares. Anything?
No, our daycare down here is open. The governor allowed that and deemed it an essential service. So what the daycares did is that, I don't know if this is a local Austin thing or not, but they made us fill out forms saying we are an essential worker. So my wife's a teacher. She's teaching online classes as we speak. So she's considered an essential worker. I work within the supplement industry, which has been deemed an essential service by the FDA. So, that's yet another avenue if they try to say, well, teachers are off soon, but they are allowing graduations to start taking place for high schools beginning the beginning of June. And so people can congregate and do all that. But regular schools are not opening until at least the fall now. Everything is online or at home.
In Ohio, they're even talking about having half the kids go to school one day and half the kids going to school the next day when they return in the fall. Mathematically, that makes about as much sense as statistically, that falls apart after like one day. All right. We got Captain Howdy. Greetings from Baltimore County. How's it going? I assume that's in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yep.
And
I was up there last summer. It was our Sandy and I's 10-year anniversary. We were in Baltimore for our anniversary. It was an awesome time. Did a lot of history tours and stuff.
Yeah, I got some good friends in Baltimore. Nard, who is from the Muscle and Strength Forum days. KO Surge, have you seen prices on gym equipment? Yes. It's the same as my wife does, is making masks, and it's about the same as prices on elastic. I was lucky enough to go to Amazon one day, find a squat rack, find a couple things. I ordered them. They were immediately back out of stock. They're sitting in my home gym right now. So I got lucky and got a squat rack for $398. So the rest of you guys can suck.
Steve's hosting personal in-person training sessions in his dungeon.
Yeah. So anyway, the prices of gym equipment are ridiculous right now, but it'll all cool down really, really rapidly. They can enjoy it while they can. Yeah. Bill Leach, hello from Hot Phoenix. We are slowly opening starting next week. We should never have closed. I'm 58, but take care. Thanks for tuning in, Bill, and stay healthy. And you have no problem staying warm out there. Out my window, it feels like it's about to snow here in Ohio. So KO Surge says 10,000 in D3 with vitamin K every day. So, guys, I'm going to ask Robert a question about vitamin K because it was a hot issue. Robert and I have discussed vitamin K previously. My wife and I take it. I posted on social media this week that I take it, and someone went after me. Someone went after me because I should consult with a doctor in case I have any blood coagulation issues or whatever.
Right.
But that's pretty much a case with any supplement. But they went after me saying it was dangerous to advocate and dangerous to take. Robert, do you have any opinion on that?
I mean, I wouldn't say that we were advocating. We're not telling people you have to go out and supplement with 400 billion units of vitamin K daily. That was in no way what we were saying. We were saying, hey, vitamin K is a common deficiency in the diet. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. There's 2 forms that you can find within the diet. It works with bone metabolism, cognitive health. It does affect clotting factors in the body. So if you do have problems with clotting, you should already be seeing a doctor. So they would advise you with that. Our stance was, or the angle we were coming from was, hey, these are some key nutrients that don't get all the hype and the sex appeal of something like caffeine or citrulline or any of that stuff. We're trying to alert people to things that may be missing in their arsenals, to where you can always do a blood test and check if you don't feel comfortable just jumping full bore into a supplement, which I would recommend. If you are feeling like you have a severe nutrient deficiency, always consult with the doctor first, get some blood panels done. They can identify, a proper course of action. Our job is to kind of help alert people to things that might be beneficial to them. In no way are we saying everybody has to take this certain dosage of an ingredient.
Right, and I want to make an important point here because the person that attacked me, and let's make no bones about it, they were attacking me with their tone. They were a nurse in a cardiology unit, um, and they probably deal with people that have these types of conditions frequently. But
Yeah.
the point here is that you can look at someone that's even a nurse, and you'll be, if you read their opinion on my feed, you'd be like, okay, the nurse has got to be right. The nurse has got to be right. She's a cardiologist or whatever, works with a cardiologist. But the key point is always research anything that's said on the net. Go to examine.com at bare minimum. And if you have any questions, you can ask Robert as well. Robert, where can people find you on Instagram and social media?
On Instagram at the Supplement Engineer. Website is supplementengineer.com, or you can email me at thesupplementengineer@gmail.com.
Yes.
Any of those, all roads lead to my inbox.
Yeah. So if you want to weed through the bullshit, Robert's a good guy to ask.
Yeah. I would say one other thing on
Go ahead.
KO's thing. 10,000 IU. Do you live in someplace, and let us know further down in the comments. 10,000 IUs is a really hefty dose. Usually I don't advocate people doing a daily dose above like 2 to 5,000 IUs, as long as there's not like a severe clinical deficiency. If you're just trying to, or if you just basically never get outside or exposed to sunlight. So if you live up north, kind of like Steve, you do there, or Alaska or Canada, maybe take that amount every day. But yeah, that almost seems like overkill, because it is a fat soluble vitamin. It will accumulate in the body. So I would, just
Right.
be careful.
Dave H71 says, "Be happy you don't live in Michigan." I'm happy I don't live in Michigan because it's flat and there's no good hiking. So, KO Surge, Robert, what's your take on boron?
It's an essential trace mineral. There's some interesting data showing that if you have a deficiency in it, supplementing with it in the 10 to 20 milligram range per day can increase natural testosterone levels. Is it going to, boost you up to super physiological levels like anabolics could? No. But if you have a boron deficiency and it's not overly common, it's not something that gets a lot of hyper press. It could be something that just helps fill in a gap. So if you're taking a multivitamin or some other kind of, male health supplement, it's usually got boron in there.
So, just a reminder, guys, post up any questions, diet, training, nutrition, supplementation. Off-topic ones are, we have no rules here other than you can even get nude and watch us if you want. I'm just, whatever works for you. Colin is a client of mine. We're opening bars and restaurants, but I can't go get a workout in Ohio. Yeah, it's a little bit silly. I don't understand the logic. My main issue with all this, lockdown or no lockdown, is that we really haven't thought this through very well. We just are kind of making up rules. They're patched and pieced together, and not a lot of it is making a lot of sense. Not a lot has been done to, with forethought to help the small businesses survive, and it's really a clusterfuck. So that's all I can say. What do we got here? Ben on Adventures. My former college's graduation is virtual this year. How sad is that? It's almost as my wife does prom dresses, and it's almost as sad as people taking pictures in their prom dresses in their driveway. Dexter, I read that it's important to take D3 alongside with K2, but you should not take them at the same time of day because they compete for absorption. Any validity?
There's some chatter about that, but most of the studies and most supplements today package those two together for a reason, because in the studies they show that supplementing with both of those have complementary actions and support each other in the body. So I wouldn't consider it a huge, issue there.
Yeah, I mean, with things like this, sometimes, one of the drums I've beat many times over the years is that we tend to treat this body as the human body as some fragile entity, where things are competing against one another, and don't eat this with that, and don't take this with that. And usually the case, in most cases, that's a lot of hype. What would you say about that, Robert?
I would agree. I would. I mean, if you think about it, if you eat a whole foods meal, that's going to have various levels of magnesium, vitamin D, zinc, iron, copper, calcium. And if you read enough stuff, you're going to see that all these minerals end up fighting with each other. So does that
Right.
mean you should never eat a mixed meal, and you should have, your glass of milk at 9 a.m. and then a piece of bread at 9:30 and then a piece of cheese at 10 o'clock? I mean, if we keep separating all these things out, you would just be doing nothing but shoving food in your mouth all day, every day, but just taking one bite here to never uh, impair absorption or get conflicting minerals together. So I don't think it's anything really worth stressing about.
Yeah, I have this big scientific theory, and it's called the body's not that fragile. Use common sense.
Yeah.
Um, Dave 871. I'm 72 years old. Thanks for tuning in, Dave. I lift weights 3 to 4 times a week. I'm wondering about creatine intake. Should I take it?
Yeah, if you're 72, hell yeah. There's a ton of benefits for a couple of reasons. Protein synthesis declines, protein absorption declines as you age. Creatine has been shown to have really good cognitive benefits in both the elderly and the young. Just everybody in general can benefit from it. Cognitive benefits, recovery benefits, energy production benefits. There's no reason basically you shouldn't take creatine unless you've got severe kidney issues.
Robert, speaking of this, a gentleman that's 72 years old and lifting, do you feel there's any supplements that he should not take?
I would watch my stimulant intake just because, I mean, just it's as you get older, your cardiovascular system probably doesn't need the strain of designer stimulants. Caffeine, that's fine, in coffee and moderate doses within a pre-workout are fine. I would stay away from some of the exotic stims like DMHA, urea durensis, even synephrine, which has got some stuff that shows it can increase blood pressure. As far as general health stuff, collagen might be really good for him, just to support bone, joint, ligament tissue, because collagen synthesis starts to decline basically once we hit our 30s. It's kind of like testosterone and everything else in the body. Once you hit your 30s, everything starts declining naturally. So even your ability to synthesize and absorb collagen, or the amino acids like glycine that contribute to collagen synthesis in the body, those decline. So if you're still training hard and heavy several days a week, try putting some collagen in there. The Joint Support XT formula that I recommended to Steve last week, or that Steve's used before and I discussed last week on the live to help with shoring up joint health. Vitamin D, a multivitamin. If you're not taking any of that, fish oil is also really good if you don't consume enough fatty fish too.
All right, let's move on. We have Bonk. I believe it's pronounced Bonk, and Bonk was in last week. And if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, please scold me. How did ultra running affect your gains in the gym? Honestly, Bonk, nothing. I've spent over 35 years making gains in the gym. When I took up ultra running, I was as big as I'm ever going to get, as strong as I'm ever going to get. There's no gains left for me to get unless I jumped on the gear train. So they didn't affect gains at all. Maintaining muscle mass is so much easier than anyone can imagine. Once you have it, as long as you kind of keep doing what you're doing, it's really easy to keep it. The amount of training I've done in the past year in the weight room has been the lowest I've done in a long time, simply because I'm running 10 hours a week, 2, maybe 3 workouts a week. That's just kind of how it shook out. Also, we've also been traveling. We went to see Fiona's family in Australia, and we also went to Scotland on vacation. So with all this in mind and all the races we've done, it's easy to maintain existing muscle mass. It's really easy as long as you do it reasonably. Recommendations for cardio for the average lifters. You got to do something that gets your heart rate up at least 3 times a week. I'm not pulling this from a scientific study. I'm just saying in general. Do something that gets your heart rate elevated. It doesn't matter what you do. This is for general health. 3 times a week or 4 times a week, just depending on your schedule. Don't put pressure on yourself to adhere to some magic plan. Just do what works for you. Robert, any thoughts on cardio for the average lifter?
I think it's necessary. I mean, unless you're doing something, there's different forms of cardio, so you don't have to go for a run. I personally hate running. unless it's involving a sprint. But any kind of long, slow jog, that's for the birds and the endurance athletes out there. I would prefer to sprint, do box jumps, barbell complexes, dumbbell complexes, bodyweight complexes, various plyometric stuff. I enjoy that because I did taekwondo growing up, and played baseball and basketball. So I enjoy those athletic kind of things. So I enjoy, kind of running myself into the ground from, an athletic standpoint with getting your heart rate up, kind of feeling exhausted because we were doing that, 3 or 4 days a week in taekwondo, for, damn near over a decade, when I was doing it before the school closed down. So yeah, I think it's, complementary to resistance training and necessary to a certain degree. People say it's not necessary for weight loss. True, but we don't do everything purely for weight loss. We do some things for overall health too. Plus, improving your cardiovascular fitness will pay dividends into your resistance training, and that you'll be able to recover more quickly between sets. You'll be able to clean out metabolite that accumulate from higher resistance training or higher rep resistance training sets too. So it's a benefit. It's always a balance though. Keep a balance between lifting and cardio workouts.
I just want to insert a note here. I had to remove a question from the queue. This is a fitness and lifting channel, a health channel, a channel where we're discussing diet, nutrition, training, supplementation, fat loss. Any question regarding performance enhancing drugs, like do you think this person takes that, or how many milligrams of this should I take? I'm going to remove that because that's not my expertise. That's not Robert's expertise. I don't really care who's taking what. That's not the goal of this channel. So just note, if you ask a question like that, it's not going to get answered. You're going to get removed temporarily from the channel. Gyms are going to open in Germany on May 18th, and that is 10 days. So at least there's some light in the end of the tunnel. Robert, there's a question here. Is there really a difference in absorption between magnesium citrate and oxide?
Yes. While magnesium oxide may have the highest percentage of total magnesium content, so I think it's got, between 50 to 60 yield of magnesium. So if you've got a molecule that's the magnesium and the oxygen ion, it'll contain about 60% magnesium. The issue is that magnesium oxide's bioavailability is something like 4 to 10%. So it's horrible. You would have to take significantly more to get any meaningful amount of magnesium. So that's one kind of a litmus test I use for multivitamins. If they're using magnesium oxide in there, basically any supplement, you can see that company's going the cheap route and not using a quality form of the mineral. Magnesium citrate, the citric acid, it also has kind of a buffering effect where it's a little bit easier on the stomach and it's got better bioavailability.
So you're saying they can list magnesium oxide on magnesium on the label.
And it has to be listed.
When you take this multivitamin, you might not be getting anywhere near the percentage that you think.
Yeah, it might have a yield of 100 milligrams of magnesium on there, but it'll say magnesium and then in parentheses as magnesium oxide, and then it'll list the actual yield of magnesium that the multivitamin is supposed to supply. So if it's saying it's yielding 100 milligrams, you might only absorb 4 to 10 milligrams of that.
I think something we could probably do in the future is multivitamins are such a hot topic. I'd love for you to put together maybe a 1-page cheat sheet, and I could put it up on my site for people to download.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. I'll put down some of the recommended daily intakes and the best bioavailable forms of each of the multivitamins.
KO Surge, I live in the Midwest. It's winter. I work third shift. That's pretty much a perfect storm for needing vitamin D.
Yeah. All right, man. Good job. Yeah, then keep rolling.
Bong, should we seriously consider taking omega-3 supplements if we don't eat any fish at all?
Yes. They've got anti-inflammatory effects in the body, and then there's also that research showing if your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio gets too out of whack, because most people have somewhere around 20 to 1, and it should be ideally be 4 to 1 or 1 to 1. It can have pro-inflammatory effects in the body if you don't have enough omega-3s. Plus, DHA, one of the omega-3s, is highly involved in cognitive function and cognitive development. So you can get some omega-3s from plant foods like walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, but the body's ability to effectively convert ALA, the plant form of omega-3 fatty acids, into EPA or DHA is somewhere in like the 15 to 20% range. So you want to supplement with some kind of high quality fish oil, krill oil, one of those forms.
So that leads me down an interesting path. The natural or plant-based forms.
Mhm.
For the vegans and vegetarians out there, how do they? What's the most efficient or effective way of them to get in their omega 3s?
I mean, if you're a vegetarian and you're okay with animal source products, you could do um, a fish oil supplement. You could do an omega 3 supplement. If you're a vegan, there is this product called ahi flour. SteelFit makes it. It is a plant form of omega 3 fatty acids that's been shown to have significantly higher bioavailability and conversion rate to EPA and DHA than the ALA that's found in walnuts, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, and all of that. So look into ahi flour from SteelFit if you want to look for a vegan friendly option, or you can go with a fish oil omega 3 supplement.
Thanks, Robert. Let's see. Pillars, custom knives, and outdoors. Wanted to say thanks on the deadlift tip for shooting hips. It really helped a lot. Glad it helped out. Sometimes the easiest fix for squats and deadlifts, or the best fits for best fixes for squats and deadlifts are the basics. So I'm glad that helped out. Cassie's been working with my wife.
Mhm.
Cassie, superstar, dropping the weight. Thoughts on collagen supplements?
I guess it depends on which application you're looking to use them for. So they've got some data showing that they can help with joint health, increasing range of mobility, range of motion, mobility, reducing some joint wear and tear on it. It's also good for hair, skin, and nails. Since collagen is the primary structural protein in the body, it means it's the most abundant protein in the body. And as I mentioned earlier, collagen synthesis declines as we age, but there's also a couple of other factors. Diet plays into that. Your exposure to various toxic elements, air pollution, all the drinking, all this um, has wear and tear on your bodies to effectively synthesize collagen and repair that daily wear and tear that takes place. So if you're looking to it to kind of enhance it that way and improve, skin elasticity, fingers, hairs, nails, good, joint health, great. There's a little bit of research showing that it may improve cognitive function too. That's not the majority of it, though. It's more joint and the external features of the body and the structural components of the body. As far as a muscle building supplement, I think it's a garbage supplement because it is not a complete protein. So it's deficient in leucine and one of the other key essential amino acids. So it could be an indirect muscle builder supplement in its ability to keep your joints healthy. So if your joints obviously hurt, you're not going to be able to lift a lot of weights and train regularly. So it's an indirect muscle building supplement that way, but it doesn't really effectively stimulate muscle protein synthesis to the extent that whey protein would.
All right, thanks, Robert. We got David Potter. I'm 6'4" with a 6'6" wingspan and naturally very thin. That worked well when I was playing basketball, but long limbs aren't great for lifting. Is my build going to limit my lifting ceiling? No, David. The only thing that's going to limit your lifting ceiling is your attitude and your drive. Each of us has a different set of challenges. I get the same question from a myriad of individuals every single day. I have this, I have that. I was born this way, I was born that way. Is it going to limit me? Um, Obviously, you'll have to make adaptations to possibly how you squat and deadlift,
Hmm.
but no. As long as you get a lot stronger than you are now, you will be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I would say go check out some of the stuff from Lee Boyce. He's got a bunch of articles on the net on how to adapt some of the common lifts to make them more user friendly for tall people with really long limbs. Maybe switching to trap bar deadlifts instead of conventional deadlifts, and other ways to find other exercise variations that mimic the same movement patterns but are more cohesive or complementary to your joint structure.
Yeah, when I was at Tiger Fitness, I worked with a power lifter. His name was Rob. He was a sheriff. Rob's like 6'5", and we put together some articles and some videos on squatting for taller lifters and
Hmm.
deadlift for taller lifters. So, so somewhere out there is a set of articles. So just search squatting for deadlifters or squatting for taller lifters, deadlifting for tall lifters. You should be able to find something. And let's see what we got. Damian, my college is mailing my degree over COVID. I'm just glad you got your degree, Damian. Well done. It's sad that you can't have your moment in time, but at least you have the potential for work. Let's see. Dave was the 72-year-old gentleman, no caffeine, etc. for me. And all right, let's see. We got a question from Pedro. How much caffeine is safe before a workout?
The exercise, I mean, safe versus effective is two different things. It all depends on how much you personally need. The data that we have showing the exercise enhancing effects, be it strength, power, resistance to fatigue, endurance benefits, are anywhere between 3 milligrams per kilogram to 9 milligrams per kilogram. The position stand that the International Society of Sports Nutrition issued says that, you know, the majority of the evidence is in that 3 to 6 milligram per kilogram range, but they've got studies done in judo athletes, women and men, healthy ones, showing that as long as you are used to consuming caffeine, up to 9 milligrams per kilogram it can be beneficial and doesn't have any adverse effects, except maybe, you know, it might make you go take a dump in the bathroom before you go train. But it really, you need to see, while that is the effective dose, how do you personally react to caffeine? You might have, you might metabolize caffeine very poorly to where it makes you feel jittery and on edge, to where you might only need or benefit from 100 milligrams, because they've got some data showing that even as little as 100 milligrams or 150 milligrams can improve exercise performance. It's a highly individualistic thing, but the research back doses are anywhere between 3 to 6. So that's the ideal range, but always base it on your personal reaction to caffeine. Don't just immediately jump to 6 because you read it in a study. Start on the low end and work up and see how you handle it.
I want to make a point here because you mentioned it. How much is safe versus how much is really required or appropriate. I use that same type of thinking or logic when it comes to lifting. Just because you can do a lot of volume, just because you can abuse something, whether it's a supplement, just because you can take more, whether it's a supplement or an amount of volume, doesn't mean it's effective, efficient, or the best way.
Correct.
Let's see, Dave, I do have AFib occasionally, not on any blood thinners or other meds.
Awesome. That's for a 72-year-old. That's damn impressive, Dave.
Pedro, thoughts on a plant-based diet for performance and recovery? I will share my thoughts, and then Robert, you jump in. I get a lot of questions from individuals that'll come to me and say, how do I get my protein in on a plant-based diet? I don't know. I'm not a vegan. Obviously, I can give you the basics. I know what chickpeas are, and I know what quinoa is, and I know what black beans are, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to jump to a plant-based diet, my best advice is to buy every book you can and research and constantly research so you can improve your education. As far as performance and recovery, the main thing in my limited time working with vegans, I do coaching, but I don't do a lot of work with vegans. Obviously, I do interact with some. The key thing that they struggle with is if they have a faster metabolism, they have to be really, really focused on getting enough calories and monitoring their calorie intake. As far as performance and recovery, I really strongly advocate a wide variety of micronutrient dense foods. Don't eat the same thing every single day. Robert, any opinion or thoughts?
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments, and I'm assuming when they say plant-based, that means plant-only diet. I find it funny, and this is in no way a slant against Pedro, but ever since that farce of a movie called The Game Changers came out, we assume plant-based has to mean vegan, but I eat a plant-based diet and I include meat in it. So I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, but I also include meat. So I would say my diet is plant-based, but it's not vegan or vegetarian.
Well,
so I think that's an important distinction to make there. But now we're arguing semantics.
Yeah, we me and my wife probably eat more fruits and vegetables than anybody I know, and we call ourselves plant strong. I think that's kind of what we run with.
Yeah. Overall, I would say a plant-based diet could definitely do that. Be mindful of your protein. Especially make sure you're getting enough complete protein in there, since what's going to drive your ability to perform and recover are carbohydrates and protein. That's not hard to find, especially the carbs are not hard to find on a plant-based diet. It's making sure you get enough of those essential amino acids. So one thing that may be worth looking into is if you're not sure about your protein, getting a vegan protein supplement. Nutrex makes a really good one. Tiger Fitness has a vegan one. There's a bunch of other ones. Just make sure it's got a blend of proteins in there, so you're ensuring you get a complete protein source, and then maybe also supplement with either an essential amino acid formula or a branch chain amino acid formula if you're eating just a bunch of plant foods, just to make sure that you're getting enough high enough concentrations to maximally stimulate mTOR and muscle protein synthesis in the body, because you need to reach a certain leucine threshold with each meal to fully stimulate protein synthesis.
All right, Robert, we got a good one here. The ancient, long-standing animal pack. Any thoughts on the animal pack?
I did you gave me an article topic a couple of years ago, right? The complete history of animal pack.
Yeah, we actually I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I actually gave Robert an article because the animal pack has been around so long, and it's like part of I hate to say pop culture, but it's a part of lifting culture.
Yeah.
And over at Tiger Fitness, I had him do an article on the history of the animal pack. It's one of those few supplements that is deserving of that kind of an article. I would recommend checking that out. I posted in the window right now, but I don't have time to search for it. But any general thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. You're signing on for a lot of pills when you. I mean, I think there's something like 10 or 12 different tablets that are in there. And you'll often hear something that, tablets may not be the ideal form for a multivitamin because there's no way your body's actually going to break it all the way down and digest it all. Again, multivitamins are there to supplement your diet. So this is in addition to you eating a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats, all that good stuff. So even if you aren't absorbing all of it, you're going to get some of it. And if you're a bigger guy, you probably need the full pack. If you're a smaller guy, you may not need to take the entire thing. But there's a lot of quality multivitamins on there. NutriBio makes a really good one. Morphogen Nutrition makes a really solid one. Animal Pack's great. It just depends on what you have access to and what's in your budget.
And
Hi,
Peanut approves of Animal Pack.
Hi, Peanut.
Robert, back in the day, when I started lifting, there was this supplement called the Hot Stuff, which basically they took everything you could possibly think.
Yeah.
Everything they could read in a Weeder magazine, and they put it in one supplement, one tub. And, they called it the Hot Stuff. And it was so intriguing. Mm-hmm. And I remember after running into Animal Pack and thinking all I needed was the Hot Stuff and Animal Pack, and it would be like steroids. So.
It'd be superhuman. One other thing for KO, try another really good quality one is Orange Triad by Controlled Labs. That's a really, really solid one. That's usually very affordable as well.
All right, Greg Duvier, my gym in North Dakota is opening on May 11th with a few restrictions. I'm actually surprised. I knew a lot of the states out west weren't being as controlled by the kings, which we used to call governors. So I'm actually surprised there was any restrictions in North Dakota. Stian, does organic food basically raise natural testosterone? So if you eat more organic food, is it going to be better for your testosterone?
There's no substantial body of evidence to show that. And there's also no studies showing that organic foods are, leaps and bounds better than non-organic foods, unless you subscribe to the farming practices that organic farmers do and you want to support those. But, there's no magic to organic food.
Hey, Robert, I'm going to toss you a question. And before I toss this question, you may or may not have the answer. I just want to remind folks, you can find Robert on Instagram, The Supplement Engineer, on YouTube, The Supplement Engineer. He has a wonderful podcast. I highly recommend checking that out. And a reminder, if you need any additional information from me, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. All right. So, Robert, I got a question. I often advocate that people, and you may not have the answer to this, so I respect it, but I tell folks fresh vegetables over canned vegetables, right?
Yeah.
When they can. And I often get the question, why canned vegetables? And beyond the fact that like a canned green bean looks disgusting, Robert, do you have any insight into any differences there might be in a canned vegetable?
Well, yeah, when they can the vegetables, they heat them up and pressurize them to kill any bacteria in them. In addition to killing the bacteria, you're also basically nuking all of, or a significant portion of all of the micronutrients, so the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that are in there. So that's, you're getting some kind of fiber in there, but you would be much better going frozen or fresh than canned for the vast majority of things.
Yeah, and for the person out there that says I can't afford to eat healthy or I can't afford to feed my family, frozen vegetables. Um, you know, anybody that says they can't afford to feed their family, and I tell them not to eat canned vegetables if they can avoid it, if they can. Frozen vegetables are usually, I don't know about where you're at, Robert, but most times we can run into Walmart or grocery store and find them for $1 a piece on sale at any
Yeah,
time.
they're very, very economical. I just ran to the store this morning. I could get a 5 pound bag of frozen broccoli florets for something like $4, something,
Right.
and that's enough to last you for several days. And I eat 9 ounces or 12 ounces of frozen broccoli at a time when I'm eating dinner or lunch. So
Paul, greetings from Canada. How's it going, Paul? Hope things are well with you. You guys keep the questions coming. We will stay on as long as you have questions. Diet, training, nutrition, supplementation. Gyms in Japan were supposed to open on the 7th, but the extension caused the reopening to be delayed to May 31st. So hang tough. I've been working with her for a while, one of my hardest working clients, and just absolutely got the hang of squats and deadlifts just in time for them to close the gym. So I hope you can hang tough and continue to stay active. Damian, I'm too introverted to care about a walk for a degree. I'm happy. Well, whatever it takes, man. I get it, and much respect just for completing the degree. Honey Badger, I think we need to pit Honey Badger against Murder Hornets and see who wins. Does taking a ZMA supplement long term have negative side effects?
nothing that I'm aware of. I would see, I guess, why do you feel the need to take it long term? Are you not getting enough zinc or magnesium in your diet? Are you having sleep issues? How's your sleep hygiene? How's your stress levels? It depends on what the application for which you're using the ZMA supplement.
All right. Cassie said, thanks. I was mostly interested in collagen helping with skin elasticity. Would you recommend topical or oral?
The oral supplements are pretty high bioavailable. Make sure it's got some vitamin C with it, or take a vitamin C alongside of it, or have an orange with your collagen supplement, because there's research showing that vitamin C enhances collagen synthesis and uptake in the body. Orals are typically cheaper than topicals. Plus, you got to worry about what carriers that are being used in the topicals and all of that stuff. So just find a good quality collagen peptide supplement, hydrolyzed collagen peptides. And that should be fine. You can look in a couple off the top of my head. Let's see, Obvi, myobvi.com is a really good one. I just had them on the podcast. That episode will be debuting Tuesday. One Up Nutrition does a really good one. There's several brands that do that. And that's kind of an under the radar supplement that's probably going to be getting a ton of traffic in the coming year.
All right, guys, keep the questions coming. I just want to mention that during the lockdown, Robert and I have been trying to, do this during the day. Mm-hmm. I know there's more people at home. And it's very difficult for us to find a good time to do this where it helps, where we can reach everybody. I know a lot of my European followers, this is a good time for them. So if you guys have any suggestions, if you prefer this on the weekend or whatever, please let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. Keep the questions coming, guys. We're going to stay on as long as you have questions. And post them up now. We got a couple more in the queue. I think 3 more in the queue. And if it runs its course and we don't have any more questions, we're going to hop off. So if you have anything, get it in now. Damian, how should I track muscle gain progress? I'm going to toss that over to Robert because I'll follow up on whatever Robert says.
I think it begins with just something as simple as taking a few basic measurements, tracking your body weight. So, I think, Steve, what you've recommended in the past is, just as a bare minimum, maybe track your waist, your quad, and your bicep, so you can, and maybe your chest as well. I think you and I've had this conversation in years past. So I would start definitely with checking that, but also you need to track your calorie intake to see if you're eating enough to, facilitate muscle growth and make sure you're gaining weight. And at a bare minimum, you should be tracking your sets, reps, and weights in the gym to make sure you can actually instill progressive overload and force your muscles to start growing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to get hyper scientific when it comes to muscle gain, but you do need some data. The key thing is to monitor things over the long run. I
Mm-hmm.
recommend to my clients measuring their arms and legs flexed every month, and then their waist at the belly button relaxed. And I think, when it comes to BMI talk, Robert, I'm not sure if you've ever run across this, but the ratio of your waist relaxed, like at the belly button compared to your height, I think that can be a good indicator of where you are at from a waist standpoint. Have you ever heard of this standard, Robert, or anybody talking of this standard?
Of the BMI?
No, of the taking the ratio of let's say your waist relaxed
Mm-hmm.
is 36 inches and your height is 72 inches. I believe I read somewhere that a general recommendation was to have that a 2-to-1 ratio or
Huh.
more, something like that.
That's not something I've come across. It wouldn't surprise me. That's an interesting thing. That's something I'm gonna have to go check out.
Yeah, it's actually something that I wanted to research a little bit more because I think for the average individual, it's a little bit from just my cursory look at it, I think it's a little bit more of a reliable you know guide guidepost as to where you are than
Yeah.
to just look at your weight. If you're 230 pounds and you have a 32-inch waist, it would make more sense that your waist compared to your height is a better indicator
Yeah.
of where you're at than your BMI. Anyway, not to
Right.
shoot the rabbit down a hole, but keep the questions coming, guys. Jeremy I'm not a fan of the term superfoods, but there are a few foods. But are there a few foods you would recommend regularly having in a diet, and why? I'm gonna list some of my favorites. I almost did this morning uh, on social media. There are some foods I really really like, and when I'm looking at quality foods, I'm looking at things that provide a good micronutrient intake without costing the average individual a fortune. I would lead with black rice. Um, I love black rice. I'm obsessed with black rice. You can find it in any store. You can mix it with white rice and get the combined benefits of both, or you can mix it with other grains like quinoa or whatever. Black rice has more fiber and it has a different micronutrient profile. I would argue a better micronutrient profile than white rice. So I'm not calling it a superfood, but it is a food that's never talked about. And let's see, fish. I'm a big fan of steelhead trout because it's like salmon, less fishy, more cost effective.
Yep.
Um, what are some of the things I would eat that I eat every day? I eat Gerb's 8 seed blend. So I top that. I put that in Greek yogurt. I try to get a blend of nuts and seeds every day, not just one. So we eat a blend of seeds every single day, and you can get Gerb's seeds blends on Amazon. A wide variety, of nutrients from different seeds and nuts and that sort of thing. I eat avocado almost every single day. Because I struggle to get in, fats just from meat. Robert, any foods that you rely on or you would consider important that people don't often focus on?
I mean, something like something as simple as berries, either frozen berries, any kind of berry. Those are nutritional powerhouses that also contain a lot of fiber, a lot of water, tons of vitamins and minerals, and they just taste really good. What we've gotten in the habit of doing here on the weekends is that there's a walking trail behind our house. And we found these wild blackberry patches. So each Saturday for like 2 hours, me, Sandy, and the halfling will go out there and just kind of like walk through the forest and start picking stuff. But aside from that, I always have frozen blueberries and frozen strawberries in the freezer. Mix that up with some Greek yogurt. That's really good. this is going to sound really, basic, but like you said, fish, beef, those are some of the most nutritious foods on the planet that you can eat, in terms of just protein quality as well as good fats for you. Lots of vitamins and minerals, iron, creatine in there. Dark leafy greens, again, I mean, there's really not any. I don't, like Jeremy said, I don't buy much into the superfood term. It's finding nutrient dense whole foods. Avocado is another great one. I love avocado. Eggs are magical.
Yeah, eggs are magical. Eggs and black rice are actually one of my staples, and it has fruit, or it has carbs, protein, and fats. And it's basically, for me, one of the most perfect meals you can have. I'm going to toss a couple your way, Robert, and see what you think.
Blue cheese too. I love blue cheese.
Yeah, I love blue cheese. Anybody
Wonderful.
that doesn't cannot be a friend of mine. Sunflower microgreens. Now, hear me out. You can grow these. It's almost impossible not to grow them. And they taste amazing. They add crunch. We add a little bit of sunflower microgreens on top of a lot of our dishes. You can put them on a hamburger, just a little bit. You can put them on whatever. We put them on breakfast, and they are very micronutrient rich, and really, really easy to grow yourself. You can grow a lot of them. And I'm going to throw something out here, Robert, for the people that don't like organ meat. But if you want a cheap source of organ meat at your store, chicken hearts. Don't hate until you try them. Robert, are you a fan of the chicken heart?
Ooh, there's a food and wine festival that happens around here, called the Funk and Sour. So it's all the local Austin restaurants, and they pair funky foods. All the the 4 and 5 star restaurants go, and they do this, and you pay a one-time ticket, and they do all these pairs with. There's a bunch of sour beer breweries down here in Austin too, and so they'll pair these dishes, these kind of like very frou-frou foods with these sour beers. And they did a grilled chicken hearts dish. So they had grilled kidneys, grilled hearts. I wasn't super nuts about the grilled chicken heart. I like the kidneys, and that was fine.
Right.
And the gizzards, that's okay. And coming from Louisiana, fried chicken gizzards, blackened alligator, all that stuff is very commonplace for us to eat. But hearts, that was a little rough.
Well, I will say, anybody that wants to dive into organ meat, the chicken is a good place to start, because it's inexpensive. You can get chicken gizzards, chicken hearts, chicken livers, and you can basically just chop that stuff up and throw a little bit into a dish, and you probably will never notice it's there.
One thing that, go back to Jeremy's question, he said for optimizing digestive health, something that actually is good is resistant starches. So if you cook some kind of grain or potato, and then refrigerate it and then reheat it back up, the starch molecule structure changes when it goes from being cooked to cool to recooked again. And there's been some interesting things that it improves gut health, especially the production of a short chain fatty acid called butyrate, which has several anti-inflammatory things in there and helps restore gut barrier lining and all of that stuff. So that could be really good for improving digestive health. That's a simple food that costs beans.
One strategy, I'll just end with this. One strategy we use is that every time we go to the grocery store, we always look for fruits and vegetables and meats that are on sale. And we take whatever we can get. This week we got lamb. This week we got bison. This week we got steelhead trout. All that stuff sounds super expensive, but there's always, if you look, you're always going to find something that might be on sale because it's close to expiration date.
Yep.
When it comes to fruits and vegetables, a wide variety: mushrooms, asparagus, peppers,
Cabbage.
Cabbage. I mean, we do the little baby potato pack that has the gold and the purple. Just a wide variety of colors.
Yeah. Eggplant's another good one. Go get the super cheap cuts and find interesting ways to cook them.
And one thing I'll tell people, you can dice your potatoes. You can dice up zucchini, and zucchini and potatoes together. You can just toss them in the oven, bake them for 25 minutes, and absolutely spectacular. So there's a lot of fruits and vegetables out there that people do not play with, but that are really easy and really pleasing to eat. So, Giannis, what's the best degree to be involved in powerlifting and supplement research or in general on the field? Processing the question.
I guess he's deciding what to go into for college if he wants to either, I guess, get involved in exercise research or supplement research, be involved in physical culture in some kind of capacity in a professional setting.
I mean, from a practical standpoint, there's a million people involved in exercise science.
Yeah.
From PTs to strength training gurus. I've worked with when I coached the Special Olympics. I was co-coach with the strength coach from the Cincinnati Reds, and there's potential out there, but it seems like that is a little bit more saturated than real quality supplement research. So if you have any interest in nutrition and supplementation, I would definitely consider that either as a major or something to add to your exercise science regimen.
Yeah, you can't really get a degree in supplements. They don't have that yet. You could do something like a biochemistry or an organic chemistry degree. You could even do exercise physiology and then just work your way into an exercise lab. When you're applying for your PhD or something, get to a lab that does a lot of supplement research, like Dr. Abby Smith's Ryan lab at UNC, North Carolina, or Dr. Jason Kaliva's lab at Coastal Carolina. Both of those do a lot of cutting edge supplement research. So those are both great places. Texas A&M does some, Auburn does some, biochem, exercise phys, organic chemistry, or you can just kind of get your, a personal trainer certification and, work your way into the industry just through a lot of hard work, because that's the growth and explosion of the intellectual muscle-bound meathead that has a PhD is a relatively new occurrence. Before that, the people that were doing all this research had degrees in things that weren't necessarily related to supplements or exercise performance.
Yeah, I mean, back in my day, a lot of the people that were regurgitating information had no education. And these days, when people come to me, they often assume I have no education, that I'm just some dipshit that deadlifted a lot. So, I mean, I don't often talk about being an editor in the industry for for over a decade. But there's a lot of very educated people now that are involved in exercise and lifting. Don't rule out the power of, if you're looking to make a career out of this, don't rule out the power of what I'm doing, or what Robert is working on. We all have the potential to set up our own tent, our own brand. What I've told Alan Roberts very early on, and what I've told Robert, is know what you don't know and know what you're passionate about. And regardless if you go to college or you do this type of thing, know what you love and stay in that lane. People come to you, you do this long enough, people come to you with questions about information that you're not an expert on. Stay out of that lane. Stick to what you know what you know what you love, and go after it. All right. Stian from Norway. Safest way to slowly start pressing above the head. He says he has shoulder issues and has not been pressing much overhead. Stian, I would need to know what kind of issues you are having. The safest way to press above the head is to start light and be very, very patient. After I had a shoulder tear from moving an empty oil drum once. It was just a random thing. I lifted up an empty oil drum to move it in my yard.
Yeah.
We would have a burn barrel in our yard, and I tore my shoulder, my left shoulder. And I had to go under the bar with 45 pounds, and then the next week under the bar with 50 pounds, and the next week under the bar with 55. And I would have to pay very, very close attention to my shoulder. So with any injury, the safest way to come back from that injury is to be slow and steady. Don't have a defined agenda, but let that shoulder tell you what it needs to remain healthy and strong. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
I agree with all of that wholeheartedly. Always check with your physician, PT. We got to do the CYA measures as always. Do some rear delt work. That'll help centrate the joint, make it feel a little bit stronger, stable in there. So when you go to start pressing overhead, you've got a more stable base from which to press overhead. Don't neglect the rear delts when you start going into overhead pressing.
Let's see, Greg, best ingredients to make your own pre-workout. Go, Robert.
I don't think there's enough time in the day for me to go through this. The foundation of all pre-workouts, caffeine. I like a pre-workout that kicks me in the teeth. And that's usually the only source of caffeine I have during the day. So, if I'm not mainlining energy drinks or coffee throughout the day, I kind of want, it to, light your balls on fire. That's what I want from my pre-workout. So I like something, either in like the 250 to 350 range, split between like a fast acting caffeine, like caffeine anhydrous, and then a sustained release caffeine, like a dicaffeine malate. So you get, an energy high that lasts it doesn't just bottom you out after a couple of hours. It goes for, 6-8 hours, because most of the time I'm still working in the afternoon after Sandy and I finish training. Citrulline is good. Citrulline, 3 to 8 grams of L-citrulline or 6 to 8 grams of citrulline malate is good for improving blood flow, metabolite buffering in the body to help you to, train longer before succumbing to fatigue. It also assists with energy production due to their role in the Krebs cycle. Those are good. Beta-alanine, I think, is overrated by and large for most people, since you're only under tension for, 30 to 40 seconds, and beta-alanine doesn't really get ramped up until you're under tension constantly for, 60 to 90 seconds. Let's see what else is good. Agmatine is a great ingredient. In addition to supporting blood flow and nitric oxide in the body, it's also got some, pain relieving analgesic properties, which can help blunt some of that pain that sets in during an actual working set to help you, knock out a few extra reps there. Creatine is not needed in a pre-workout setting, so if you're getting it some other time of day, don't worry about putting that in your pre-workout. Some other fun ones that y'all may not think of. Grapeseed extract is great for a reason. It boosts nitric oxide production at a different point in the nitric oxide production pathway than L-citrulline does. So L-citrulline gives you the substrate to actually produce nitric oxide, since it converts to L-arginine in the body. Things like Vaso-6, grapeseed extract, and some of the other fruit polyphenols, they actually catalyze and increase the production of endothelial nitric oxide synthase, so that the enzyme that actually converts the arginine in the body to nitric oxide. So boosting that at both of those different pathways really helps out a lot. And then as far as a focus factor, caffeine is great with that. I also like to maybe stack some teacrine with it, and tyrosine. That's good for focus, energy. And there's a couple of studies showing that 1 to 2 grams of tyrosine has some anti-stress benefits. And since exercise or hard exercise is probably one of the most stressful things you can do to your body from both a physical and mental standpoint, having that anti-stress thing may help you to ablate some of that central fatigue that sets in during your training sessions.
And you guys feel free to share this segment with your favorite supplement company so they can build a better formula.
Yeah.
Robert is actually available for assistance. So if any of you want to start your own supplement company and invest $100,000 in Robert's advice, he's more than welcome to take your money.
I mean, there's 1,000 other ingredients. Elevate ATP is good for increasing ATP production in the body. I mean, we could go on and on. There are so many ingredients that we could try. Betane's a great one as an osmolyte. Glycerol's a great one as an osmolyte, which means it basically turns your cells into super absorbent sponges so they can soak up more water, which improves hydration, cell volumization, muscle fullness, pumps, and it also staves off fatigue and dehydration.
I'm gonna make a comment here, and this is something I hope people will pay attention to because it's an interesting discussion in itself. Having spent time in the supplement industry myself, and Robert is an outsider writing, but not directly involved with product development. One of the key issues when they're developing a pre-workout is cost per container.
Yeah.
And I believe when I was, I believe it could be anywhere, depending on the type of pre-workout, whether it was a lower level pre-workout, like a celebrity's pre-workout, which was more of a gimmick sale,
yep,
on up to a quality one, they would take that seriously, cost of ingredients. So you could have Robert could take a look at all the best possible ingredients for a pre-workout, he could recommend that to a supplement company and it'd be like, that's twice the cost of what we want to invest per container.
Yeah, most companies for the consumers out there, they set a hard line between $5 and $9 cost of goods. So then they turn around and sell that for, 30, $40 a tub. Um, I was just on a call, a formula consult with a supplement brand the other day, and they were looking for some other, blood flow enhancers, nitric oxide boosters, and I started listing off some under the radar ones, so not your typical citrulline or nitrosogene, something under the radar, like a grapeseed or a pomegranate extract, something like that, or even olive leaf is kind of an under the radar blood flow enhancer. And every time they said you get all these complaints of, well, we don't want the scoop size to be this big. Oh, it's too difficult to flavor. Oh, that ingredient's too expensive. So consumers may not understand all of these things that, I could give you 40 ingredients to put in your pre-workout, but it's going to end up costing you $90 just to make the damn thing. So that's where push comes to shove, kind of from the brand standpoint. I can give them the best formula based on the research possible, but if they don't want to spend that, or they don't have a market or a consumer that's willing to pay a premium price tag for a pre-workout, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, a couple things of note just to end cap this. You're never going to have a pre-workout supplement that is perfect for this reason, because you can put together the best science and the best ingredients, but it'll never be cost effective for the consumer and for the company. So there's always give and take on, adding in a kitchen sink. How much more is it going to increase not just the value of the supplement, but the results for those that are taking it?
Correct.
Jeff Sams, your thoughts on a 16-8 fast and calorie deficit for cutting? Robert, any thoughts on that?
Well, calorie deficit is basically a requirement in order to cut and lose weight. So, calories are king at the end of the day. Calories in versus calories out. So if you're consuming less calories than your body requires, you will lose weight. So we're going to start there, saying that you do need a calorie deficit to lose weight, regardless of what the keto gurus will tell you. And yes, that was my cheap shot at keto for the day. So I checked that box. 16-8 fast.
Wait, no, talking about keto on lockdown, though. That's a beautiful thing. So go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
The 16-8 fast, I don't think there's anything inherently magical about it. There's that animal research showing that it increases the longevity of mice by X amount %. That doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. The way I would view fasting is that if it helps you prevent you from thinking about food, from obsessing about food, and I'm not naturally hungry in the morning, so I've kind of, since I entered adulthood, have just naturally done some kind of intermittent fasting or just prolonged fasting. I don't usually typically eat until either after my workout, or I'll break that fast while I'm training with some kind of, like an intra-workout carb source, or a protein shake or something like that. So I think it could be good in its ability to help you confine your eating habits to a defined window. And if you tell yourself, I can't eat until X PM, then that eliminates the mental stress you have to deal with of wondering, when do I get to eat? What am I going to eat here? That it takes that off the table. And, the longer you fast, the more your body starts to adapt to it, and you start to not be hungry for certain times of the day. And then you start to crave that food when it gets closer to that time. At least that's what I've experienced personally.
I spent a lot of time playing around with fasting and fasting variations. When I was way back when I first got into this, when I first started Muscle and Brawn, there was something called the Warrior Diet with Ori Hofmeckler or Meyer or whatever. I forget his name, no disrespect, man. But I actually communicated with him, and this was the first fasting diet I ever ran into, and I tried it. I learned that I could perform just as well on not eating before 5 o'clock. I would lift after not eating all day, and there was no difference. It just took some adaptation.
Yep.
So from a performance standpoint, you just got to give it some time. Regarding the 16-8 window, I'm going to say this, and I've said it before, and it usually pisses somebody off, but most of us are pretty close to a 16-8 window as it is, meaning we eat most of our food between 10 and 6, except for the snackers. So, the 16-8 window to me is not that much different from how most people eat. It's just a minor degree off.
Right.
My clients, I recommend something a little bit tighter. I don't recommend a strict fasting protocol, but I recommend that they eat the majority of their calories between, not all my clients, but the people that are struggling with nightly eating or binge eating, that they eat most of their clients or calories between 5 and 8 o'clock at night. And then maybe 9 o'clock at night, leave a little snack. So that just reduces the window you have to overfeed. The biggest problems, some of the biggest problems people run into is that they snack, they grab, they have a little bit of a here, 4 pretzels there, 2 Tootsie Rolls here, and then they have a real snack, and then they have the lunch that's brought into them from work and all that kind of stuff. Food intake can really add up quickly before 5 p.m. if you are not careful and monitoring what you're doing. So any way you can reduce intake before 5 p.m. is usually beneficial for cutting.
Yep.
Sorry to ramble, Robert, and put you to sleep there.
Not at all. Not at all, Steve. We are good, man.
All right, we got a Casey Butt question. Is Casey Butt's calculator accurate? With a height of 6'3", wrists of 9 inches, ankles 11 inches, target body fat 15, I'd weigh 123 kilos. Can anybody tell what's 123 times 2.2?
I'll get you right here. 120 times 2.2. 270.6.
My lean body mass potential is around 178 to 180 at 5'10". So for every inch above that, your lean body mass potential increases by about 5 pounds due to extra skin and bones and stuff. Okay? We'll just say stuff. We'll go John Madden. So 5'11 is 5 pounds, 6 is 10 pounds, 6'3 is going to be 25 pounds. So you have the potential to be upwards of 205 pounds of lean body mass at 6'3". If you're 270 pounds and you have 205 pounds of lean body mass, that's going to be way above 15%. So, no. Beyond that, I've never seen anybody 6'3", 270 pounds with 15% body fat. Or it's very rare to see somebody. And if you are at that level, you're probably not natural. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
No, that pretty much hit it home. I mean, you're going to have some genetic freak outliers, but those are the people that you might see in the NFL, and that's about it.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're 270 pounds, and a lot of guys are going to say, I'm 270 and 15% body fat. No, you're not. Your body fat percentage is higher. And I don't just say that to the 270-pound guy. I say that to 99.9% of people I meet. No, you're wrong. Your body fat percentage is higher.
Yeah.
Asim, I don't eat vegetables as it makes me throw up. Asim, I'm going to tell you something, and I used to laugh at this question and tell people to suck it up. But you have an eating disorder, and it's hard to hear, but sometimes eating disorders are textural. Sometimes they're mental, whatever. You need to seek assistance for that because it has the potential to compromise your health. Now, with that established, Robert, are there any supplements or anything this gentleman can turn to bolster his nutrition while dealing with this condition?
Multivitamins always a good thing. Green supplements, while they may not, taking a greens and reds formula does not replace fruits and vegetable intake. It can give you some of those green chemicals like chlorophyll, chlorella, spirulina, some of those dark green compounds which enhance the body's natural detox pathways, boost immune function, gut health, all that stuff. That's a good supplement, but a lot of the times with these freeze-dried powders, they're losing a lot of their essential vitamins and minerals in there. So we don't really know the vitamin and mineral content unless they have added vitamins and minerals to them. So that could be something worth looking into. Just another hack you can just do at home is to just blend up vegetables into a fruit smoothie. I mean, something we do with our daughter here is we'll make a protein shake. So we'll put in a cup of milk, scoop of chocolate protein powder, some dark cocoa powder, a serving of frozen blackberries or blueberries, and then I'll throw in a huge handful of frozen spinach, buzz all that up so she's getting some servings of fruits and vegetables there. And she doesn't even know it. She chugs the whole thing down, and it's like a 24-ounce smoothie that she'll drink, and she's almost 3. So find some other ways to kind of sneak your stuff in there. And are you eating raw vegetables? Is that why you're throwing up? Maybe try cooking them down a little bit more, or finding some other kind of way to sneak them in.
Sometimes when people talk about vegetables, they have a very limited window or limited idea of what to eat, how to eat it, etc.
Yeah.
Plain broccoli, steamed, whatever, that would probably make me gag too. But you can do things like dice up spinach and toss it in with your mince or ground beef, and it disappears.
Yeah.
There are ways to cook things. If the issue is you don't like plain ass food and it's making you gag, then that's your problem, and you need to suck
Right.
it up and learn how to cook or
Yeah.
learn how to incorporate the ingredients. Also, I would say, is it mental? When you think of a vegetable, is it you just think of certain things? Many of the vegetables we eat aren't actually vegetables. Like corn's not a vegetable.
Correct.
Black bean is not a vegetable. Tomato is not a
Yeah.
vegetable.
Peas
Avocado
aren't.
is not a vegetable. On and on. So mushroom is not a vegetable. So
Yeah.
it might be a mental thing. Anything you associate being a vegetable is making you sick. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right, Robbie, you're still good to go. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. We got a few more questions here.
Yeah. As long as my laptop battery doesn't crash, I'm at 55% now. So yeah, we're good to go.
All right, just didn't want to get you in trouble with your wife.
No, she's teaching a class at 11 and at 12. So I mean, I'm good. I might run inside and grab some pre-workout because we're working out at 12:30. But outside of that, I'm good.
We'll knock these out, and if anybody else has a question, now's the time to get it in. Damian, thank you for your help. Does L-arginine have any benefit?
Not unless you want a bunch of GI distress. So L-arginine is the amino acid your body uses to produce nitric oxide, which we were mentioning earlier. And so the theory was that, hey, we'll supplement with extra L-arginine, and that way it'll boost blood levels of arginine in the body. The issue is that arginine has really poor bioavailability, somewhere around the order of 10 to 20%. And the only way to get enough arginine uptake around that bioavailability is to take a dose of arginine around 20 grams. And when you take that amount, you're going to be shitting your pants. So what a better alternative to arginine is either L-citrulline / citrulline malate. So citrulline malate is usually a 1-to-1 combination of L-citrulline and malic acid. Malic acid is a naturally occurring acid that's found in apples and a couple of other fruits. So you can take 6 to 8 grams of citrulline malate, or anywhere in the range of 3 to 6 grams of pure L-citrulline. L-citrulline has been shown in research to be easy on the stomach, a more effective way to boost L-arginine in the body, because the body will metabolize citrulline into L-arginine, and then from there it'll boost nitric oxide production. So avoid regular L-arginine. You could also try an ingredient called nitrosogene, which is a stabilized form of L-arginine that's bonded to inositol and silicate. That's been shown to be comparable to citrulline supplementation, but avoid regular L-arginine. There's no purpose for that. Go with citrulline. It's cheaper and effective, and it makes your drinks taste good if you get the citrulline malate version.
So, Rob, we're going to bounce over to leucine. Any benefits to taking leucine by itself?
Not really, unless you are potentially a vegan or vegetarian and not getting enough leucine in your diet with a whole foods meal. So the threshold for leucine is around 2.5 to 3 grams per meal. So you get that much. Leucine is kind of the king of essential amino acids, or amino acids in general, is that it acts as the stimulator for mTOR in the body, which is the mechanistic target of rapamycin, which is the kinase that drives protein synthesis in the body. So once you fully stimulate mTOR, then you're driving muscle protein synthesis, which is driving recovery, repair, and growth. So if you're not getting enough leucine in your diet, sure, supplement with it, add it to a vegan or vegetarian meal. But outside of that, just taking it by itself, no. Your body needs all 9 essential amino acids to effectively synthesize protein.
Thanks, Robert. Jeremy, thanks for the detailed answer and ideas, gentlemen. I enjoy rice. I'll be looking for black rice. Anybody that's interested in trying black rice, you can find it basically anywhere. What me and my wife do is we take this large glass container and we mix black rice and white rice. It cooks the same as white rice in a rice cooker. So 1 cup of black and white rice mix with 2 cups of water, and you are good to go. All right. Giannis, thanks for answering my question. I am maybe 6 years now as an engineer and won't be powerlifting competitively along with research. I found sports science degrees, and I'll look at X-Phys, as you said. Excellent. Good, best of luck.
Yep.
And whatever you do, just follow what you're passionate about. Brandon, Does elderberry really help reduce upper respiratory infection?
I mean, that's obviously, given present circumstances, elderberry supplements have exploded in popularity, and they're probably as hard to find right now as dumbbells, barbells, and weight plates are. Um, yeah, they released a meta-analysis at the end of 2019 showing that elderberry supplementation can help reduce the duration and severity of symptoms common to upper respiratory infections. So can we extend that to saying if I supplement with elderberry every day, am I never going to get an upper respiratory infection? No, you can't really extend it out that way, but taking it will help, has been shown to reduce the symptoms and the severity and the duration of it. So, yeah, if you're around a lot of sick people, first off, try not to be around sick people all that much. Um, get a lot of exercise, take enough antioxidants, from whole fruits and vegetables like that. And then, yeah, add some elderberry on top of it. That it can only help. It's not gonna make you disease proof, but it can reduce the symptoms and the duration of those symptoms.
All right, thanks, Robert. We have Dexter. You said last week L-theanine does not belong in a pre-workout. I've seen this ingredient in some products. Why doesn't it belong?
I just there is research showing that. So caffeine is a stimulant, makes you hyper, increases your mental faculties and all of that stuff. Some people that get overstimulated by caffeine need a little dampening. They need to, tap the brakes on that stimulation. L-theanine is an amino acid found in green tea that stimulates GABA receptors in the body. And there's some research showing that in a 2-to-1 ratio, so something like 200 milligrams of theanine to 100 milligrams of caffeine, it kind of harnesses in that energy and focus to make it a more productive focus without making you tired. My issue with theanine is that, as I mentioned earlier, I really like pre-workouts that kind of hit you in the face and kick you in the teeth. Putting theanine in there completely removes that experience for me, and it makes me just feel tired and really unmotivated to really do much of anything. I don't think it has a place in a pre-workout, where the purpose of the pre-workout is to energize, excite, motivate you to get in the gym and get shit done. Putting something in there that is going to take the harshness off the caffeine, all that tells me is that you as a supplement formulator don't know what you're doing, and you're putting in too many stimulants in there, and then you're throwing in this other ingredient to say, ooh, we're going to harness your focus. Well, just dial back the caffeine on there, numbnuts, and take out some of the other exotic stimulants you're doing. So that way, does it have some purpose in a nootropic setting? Sure, but I'm using a nootropic in a different form than I'm using a pre-workout. I don't want theanine anywhere near my pre-workout. Now, that's personal preference and my formulation philosophy when I'm working with companies. But to each their own. I don't think it really has any purpose, because it boosts GABA levels, which is an inhibitory, a calming neurotransmitter, and I don't need that going into some kind of extreme physical activity.
Now, I just want to say that anybody that was born with numbnuts, his comment about calling someone numbnuts was not meant to offend you. If you're born with the condition of numbnuts, we are truly sorry. Been on Adventures. My pre-workout is black coffee. Can't go wrong with that.
It's a good one
for you. I will say this about black coffee. One of the common things with my clients is trying to get them to remove shit from their coffee, creamers and magical powders and potions, and just have it no calories. So that's in my opinion, that's a good step forward.
Yep.
We went through this last week. Robert, creatine, cycle or no need to cycle it, Robert.
All day, every day.
No need
to cycle off. It doesn't cause any kind of downregulation of endogenous creatine production. It's non-hormonal, so it won't, cause shutdown or anything like that. There's no magic. You don't need to do, muscle confusion with creatine or anything like that. Just take 5 grams a day every day, and you are set.
Yep, nothing. And a lot of that concept comes from the world of hormones, and it tries to embed itself into the rest of the muscle building realm.
Right.
Ignore it. Kirk, he currently weighs 176 kgs. His goal is to get down to 15%. Casey Butt's calculator has my weight being. The problem with calculators is, and Casey Butt's data is really good, but it breaks down when you're tall or when you're short. There's not a lot of guys that are tall with a lot of that have reached their natural muscle building potential. And in the real world, all I can leave you with is I've never seen anybody 270 pounds at 15% body fat. So that can be a good goal. I'm not telling you that can't happen, but you need to understand that it's going to be extremely difficult. The best thing you can do is focus on what you can control, losing weight, and attacking the progressive overload. All this talking, I'm losing my voice. Another thing to consider: if you're starting over 400 pounds, you're going to have some loose skin. Once you get down there, your weight's going to be a little bit higher. You're probably going to have 10, 20 pounds of loose skin. So take that into consideration as well. Damian, thank you. Hope you both have a great day. Thank you, Damian.
You too, Damian.
Jermaine, how much tyrosine would you recommend for pre-workout? I use Nalt tyrosine.
I like 2 grams. Anything in the 1 to 2 gram range is good, but most of the data shows that you want around 2 grams for those anti-stress benefits and to support dopamine production in the body. You'll see N-acetyl L-tyrosine commonly used in some pre-workouts, and the argument is that it touts greater water solubility than regular L-tyrosine, which they've extended to say that it must mean it's better because it's soluble in water. So, and our bodies have water, so obviously better solubility in water makes it better uptake in the human gut. That's not actually true. Studies in both rats and humans show that N-acetyl L-tyrosine is not effectively converted to tyrosine and therefore dopamine, adrenaline, norepinephrine in the body. It's basically, they don't know, the body doesn't know what to do with that molecule, so most of it is excreted, a little bit is uptaken, but it's not nearly as effective or as cheap as L-tyrosine is. So if you can, use up whatever N-acetyl L-tyrosine you have now, but from here on out, go with regular L-tyrosine in the 1 to 2 gram range.
Thank you, Robert.
Yep.
Any foods or supplements you suggest for a calisthenic athlete? There's going to be no difference regardless of what activity. So nothing specific. No. Neo.
Yeah.
Hello, humanity. Hello, Neo from the Matrix. And Greg Duvier. Thank you guys for answering my question. You're welcome. All right, guys, that's it. We're going to power down. You can find Robert at the Supplement Engineer on Instagram, YouTube. Check out his podcast, The Supplement Engineer. Robert has a supplement assessment service over at my website. I'm going to post that up right now, www.superlivingtoday.com. You can go over there if you want Robert to comb through your Ooper.
Ooperlivingtoday.com.
You got a quote. It's Super Living Today. That's what I get for typing with switches. But Robert has a supplement assessment service over there if you're interested in Robert combing through your information. Follow him on social media. And if you guys need any help from me or if I missed your question, slide into my DM on Instagram at Ben the Barman. Robert, any parting thoughts?
Stay safe, happy, and healthy out there, everybody. Steve, I look forward to doing this every week, man. Thank you for the opportunity. And these are fun. I like to, as a podcast host, I'm usually the one asking questions, not doing a whole lot of talking. So this is kind of fun to have the roles reversed and have people just pitch me questions on the fly, because I very much enjoy answering people's questions and helping them sort through the nonsense that abounds in the supplement and fitness industries. Yeah, well, Robert, I appreciate having you on, and we're going to keep doing this as long as you can stand it. On Fridays at 11, and if folks decide they would like a better time, they can let us know. All right, Robert, have a great day. We'll talk to you again. You too, Steve. Yep, bye now.